Hello everybody, this is Trav, back again. Good to see ya, good to see ya. So on this episode of the Let's Play, we're going to be doing some redstone stuff. So we're going to be doing like inverted pulses, and logic gates, and a couple other things. And I'll tell you why. It's something I've been meaning to do for a long time. So, you guys know me well enough to know that I love flying machines. Those are kind of my wheelhouse. And if you've built any of my tutorial videos on farms, most of them use flying machines for the farm. And so I've got 3 of them right here at this farm base, and they're fantastic. However, the thing is when you unload these chunks, so when I leave, I need to come up with a way to make sure they're all off and they're all parked so it's safe, right? Because if the flying machines are moving across these farms and I unload the chunks, there's a very good possibility they're going to break. Now most of them are simple, but I got some of these complicated ones for like the melon and pumpkin farm that I'd rather not just fix because I flew way too fast with my rockets. So we're going to come up with a system to fix it. And what I want it to do is I want it to all center around our warehouse here. So what I have here, I got 2 little lights. And on one switch, I want to be able to flip this switch, and I want to be able to turn off all farms. Okay? So if it's lit up, that means it's safe for me to leave. I can go through my portal or I can leave. Okay? So that's what this one does. Turns on and off all the farms. And what this one does is I want this one to light up when all of the farms, all of the flying machines in the farms are back parked in their stations. So I flip the lever and I wait for this to light up. When both are lit up, I'm safe to leave. Okay? So it seems like a pretty simple task. Now if we break it down, things get a little bit more complicated. So first things first, I need to carry a signal from here all the way to those farms. So there's a couple ways of doing that. Let's go down here where we have a little bit of... So there's a couple ways of doing it. One, I don't want to use a lot of redstone dust because it's laggy. So one way I like to do it is using kind of like an extension for a flying machine. So I would have a sticky piston here, and we're going to have to move it up because it's on slabs. So we'll have a sticky piston like this. And let's grab some slime blocks. Like that. And then at the end, we're going to have a redstone block. We'll have a space in between. And we'll repeat this. Okay? So what this does, I'm going to knock this out. What this does is when I send the pulse or the signal, it extends. So then I can draw off of this redstone block to the farm. So basically what we're doing here is the switch up top is sending the signal to the first row of sticky pistons. And that's coming all the way around, which you'll see in a minute. And then all I have to do is at each farm I could draw a pulse out of this, you know, like maybe with a block and a repeater or something. Yeah, well, not sideways, but I could draw a pulse off of that, well, a signal off of that, and I can send that to each of my farms, because as you guys know, these farms are using observers, because they're flying machines, right? So if I want that observer to stay still, and that flying machine not to move, all I need to do is maintain a constant signal to it, because then that observer will never be updated. So having the lever to turn all the farms off is pretty simple. So let me kind of walk you through the route. So, starting from here, we light up that block, come downstairs, and to send the signal down, see I don't want to use sticky slime blocks going down because I don't want to mess up that wall. That's the problem with these slime extensions. You have to have 4 blocks around it knocked out. So all I did is underneath that light is a sticky piston with a redstone block, and then it's energizing this, and then that block, and then it's carrying the signal down to that block, and then that extension's going all the way down. So it comes all the way down, and then it goes down, then it goes that way, and then it takes a left, and it goes past all the farms. So the one coming back, this is going to be what we use to let us know that all the flying machines are parked. Okay, so when all these are extended like they are, this comes up here and just uses a little torch tower and then lights up the other light. Okay, so those extensions are pretty straightforward. How you get the pulse or the signal from your one farm to another back to here is kind of on you guys. This is one way I like to do it because it's no dust, so it's as little lag as I can pretty much come up with, and that works well for me. So those aren't too complicated. So the complicated part of it is, well, now how do we send a pulse back to light up the other light saying it is safe, all the flying machines are parked? Because if we didn't use any logic, and let's say this flying machine here was done and parked, and we drew a signal from that and sent it all the way back to the light, then it doesn't matter if this flying machine was going back and forth or that flying machine was going back and forth, that light would stay lit up. So we would get a false positive because, you know, maybe that one was traveling. But since this one sent the signal, it doesn't matter. We're going to get a false positive. So with that being said, we need to use a little bit of logic. Okay? So what I mean by that is we have 3 flying machine farms. What we need is an AND logic gate to say, as long as this and that are all providing a signal, then we can send that signal back to that glowstone lamp. So that's what we need to come up with. So it gets a little bit more complicated. So that's kind of what I want to focus on. So as you can see, I've got the extensions that came all the way around, and to turn the farms on and off is pretty simple. It's just sending a constant signal to the pistons that are updating the observers. That's not too complicated. You guys can figure that out. So now the AND one is going to be a little bit more difficult. So let's walk up here so you can kind of see what I've got started. We'll sneak up here to the top of these farms where all these extensions are coming. Okay, so if we come up here, you'll see the extensions going back and forth. Alright, so the one going this way is the input, so that's the toggle on and off switch. So here I'm just trying to signal out, like I said before, sending up a torch tower, and that signal is maintaining a constant signal on these flying machines so they won't go back and forth. So the other one is the one that is going to send the signal back when all 3 of the farms are sending a signal, or the flying machines are parked. Okay, so that's the one that we need to now work on and get the redstone done to send the signal back to the light so we don't get false positives. Okay, so let's start from the end. So keeping that in mind, we want all those extensions to extend when all the flying machines are parked. So let's start down here. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get a signal from the flying machines. So we're going to need observers. So it's basically going to use like a T flip-flop. So here's this flying machine. It goes back and forth and harvests the bamboo. So what it's going to do is we're going to draw a signal out. So it'll be from this glass block when it returns. And then what that signal is going to do is it's going to charge this sticky piston. Okay? But since it's going to be on one tick, any block it pushes is going to stay out. Alright, so if I put a block right here, and when this thing is parked, when it flies off, it's going to update this piston, and it's going to grab that block. In fact, we can test that here. Let's see. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll break this dust. And we need to break that dust. So there it goes. It grabs the block. Now watch when it comes back. It extends the block. You see that? So when it's parked, that block is going to be in that position. So let's work with this. The other farm, this one, is right next door. Okay, and the flying machine parks on that side. So we could do the same thing over here. So there's the flying machine. Let me come up here so you guys can see this. And to kind of explain a little bit more, one reason I really wanted to cover this video is if you've been kind of following along with some of the tutorials on how to build these things, you're starting to reach a point of the game to where things are getting a little bit more complicated. Your farms are getting more complicated, and this is at the point where you need to start considering that, you know, if you don't do these things, you're going to run into problems because these flying machines are going to be going back and forth, and you're going to have issues. So that's kind of why I want to cover this, get into some of this logic stuff. So here's the signal coming in. All right. So typically it's working off of those observers over there. So when the sugar cane grows up, there's 3 of them for redundancy. When the sugar cane grows up, it's going to send a pulse down here, updating this piston, updating the observer, and sending this thing flying. Right now, we've got all the flying machines turned off, which is that power source right there, coming down in. Working off of, if you can kind of see it, that's the extensions coming down. So what we'll do, to test this out, we're going to break one of these, and we're going to send that off. Store it. Okay, so now it's in. So there's a solid block here. Obviously we don't want to stick these observers to the slime blocks, but we could stick one of this solid block right here, just like that. So it's going to work exactly like the other one did. So we'll do this. We're going to skip a block. We're going to put a block of redstone, and we're going to work from that. Alright, so now that we have this one set up and the other one set up, now it's time to figure out how to connect them. So first things first, let's bring that signal over here a little bit, and then we'll just kind of go from there. So if we were to pull a signal out of that and bring it down, let's go ahead and clear some more room. In fact, I should have some torches. Let's make sure we keep this all lit up. Really. Alright, so let's drop this down a little bit. Change directions here. Okay, so let's kind of start with that. So what we want to do is a couple ways we could do this. So instead of this redstone block, this could actually be part of the logic gate here. So let's for now, this is going to take it's going to take a minute to kind of figure out what we want to do with this, but let's test this out. So when it's parked, it pushes that there, which is going to be used as part of our logic gate. So then what that means is we're going to send a signal through that block. So it'll be like this, right? So if you can imagine this here, this farm is sending a signal, this farm pushes this block in place, and then now we're getting a signal out. So that and that are creating this logic gate. Alright, so all what we need to do is we need to get that signal into there. Alright, so we've got the signal coming here. So now what we need to do is extend it out to this torch tower up to the top. And we need to make sure that piston's extended up there to send the signal all the way back to the light. Okay, so let's see what we could do. What we could do instead is if we were to send the signal to that block like that. Let's see. So to test this, if we were to send a signal to that block, extends. So let's work with that. Save as a torch. Get rid of all this. That. Okay, so instead of that, let's go ahead and do a repeater like that. Dust. So let's make sure this works. It should be retracted, extended. So if that flying machine from that farm is back, it extends it. If this flying machine is back, well, there's retracted, and then it returns, and it's back. Okay, so there's our first set. There's our first AND gate right here. So that covers 2 farms. Let's make sure this is all well lit. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to add the pumpkin farm. Alright, so here we are at the melon and pumpkin farm. And so we need to take a signal from the flying machine when it's parked and create another AND gate to go to that top extension, which is our extensions that are going to toggle the light, letting us know that all the machines are parked. Okay? So I think the best thing we could do here is probably pull the signal from the top and come up and over the top to that extension. And then we'll work an AND gate into it instead of going underneath. So let's go up here and take a look at what we could do. So since the only place we can draw a signal from this side with an observer without affecting the flying machine is up here from another observer, what we're going to need is to stabilize the pulse coming out of this, okay, to keep it from ticking. So to do that, we're going to put an observer coming out on 1 tick, and then we're going to have a repeater, and then we're going to have a repeater into that. Okay, we're going to start with 2 ticks and see if this works to lock that. Now we're going to connect these like this, and then we can take the pulse out. Okay, so with this thing hooked up, let's throw a piston in the back. And we're going to put a block out here. Let's test this. So what we expect to happen is when we send this flying machine off, we expect it to pull that block in until it returns, and when it returns, it's going to spit that block back out. So let's see. Pull the block in. And it spits the block out. Perfect. Okay, so we know that that's working. So now what we need to do is we need to get this down there where the other extension is. So what we'll try to do here is we'll run that to there, hop down here, and let's put a piston up against this, like that. Oh geez. Now we're way down here. Let's see if we can make it up top. Perfect. Okay. So, now, we need this here. We need to bring it down to that. So let's see what we can come up with. Let's start with that. Let's break this chain a little bit. Now, take a look down here. This piston is extended, so this will be creating a pulse right now. We're going to need our blocks, redstone blocks, right here. Let's get a block underneath. We also have to be concerned because we can't have blocks right there, because they're going to get caught by the slime. Let's bring a pulse out of here, or a signal out of here, like that. Okay, so when that extends, Okay, so looking at this now, we know that piston's a little bit too high because we need this block right now to be, right here, right? That's where we want that block. That's the target. And then we need one space in between, so we need that piston to be right there. So then that way, when the flying machine takes off, that piston extends, pulls the block up. So let's go up there and fix that real quick. Without breaking everything. Okay. Alright, so now we have a signal coming out. So now what we need to do is we need to send that signal down here to charge this piston. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and start with a block off to the side. I think that's going to be easiest where we are. Actually, let's just do it this way. We'll get rid of all these. And we're going to pull just like that. Okay, so we still have power. Now let's bring it over here. Yeah, this is going to work fine. So we'll put this down here. No slime's going to stick to that. Repeater in. Repeater out into that. Does. And it extends. Perfect. So now what we know is when that flying machine goes off, this block is going to move to here. And then we lose signal to the back. Okay? So it creates an AND gate. So we could put that back, put that there, just like that. And with that, we have 2 AND gates covering 3 farms, and we're sending the signal all the way back to base. So when we go back there, that's going to be lit up, and all we have left to do is watch it in action. Be right back. Okay, so back up top. We're going to flip this first switch to send the flying machines off or to turn the farms on. Just like that. That light switched off. That means there's a flying machine moving. So if we watch carefully, oh, right there, you can see the sugarcane one moving. And perhaps the bamboo one is also moving. There it comes, the sugarcane one. It's going to squish that slime. Watch it retract. Getting pretty close. Let's come up here and watch our block. Should be just about to the end. A few seconds now. And there's the light. Okay, so all the farms are back. So it works. And that's it, guys. So using some of these principles here, using AND gates, observer stabilizers, and so on, you can come up with a system like this for all of your flying machine farms, where you can toggle them on and off, and then you can have a detector so you know when all the flying machines are parked. So that way, when you're ready to leave, 2 lights means it's safe to go. All flying machines are parked. So I hope this helped you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, make sure you leave it a like and subscribe for future Minecraft PlayStation 4 content. This is Trav. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, guys. Hopefully